I don't agree with abortion, and I so that's probably the biggest thing.
Okay, so you want to save human lives?
Okay, you're gonna get me somewhere, but sure, yes, yeah, of course I do.
Okay. How do you feel about the fact that the Republicans have cut U.S. aid, which will lead to 14 million people dying by 2030? Where if it was
That's,
maintained to the same degree as what existed prior, those 14 million people's lives would have prevented from dying.
well, you said U.S. aid. What is
Yes,
that?
funding that we provided in cost-effective manners to reduce the likelihood of easily preventable death around the world.
I think that's pretty crappy of us to do. I mean, but I still think, I don't know. I don't think abortion's right.
So like if your goal is to save human lives, it seem like you're saving more human lives by defending things like U.S. aid, access to healthcare, food access in this country, along with plenty of other things comparative to what they're doing right now. I mean, you'd be
I
significantly more likely to reduce abortions by trying to prevent people from getting into situations where they have unwanted pregnancy rather than actually like limiting abortion in the first place. Donald Trump's
I
abortion
guess.
policy actually hasn't led to a reduction in overall amount of abortions. We've seen an increase in the amount of abortions since Roe versus Wade is overturned.
I guess, but U.S. aid is for like I'm trying to protect babies. These are people like that are full grown like adults and stuff.
So you only care about
As U.S.
protecting
aid.
babies?
No, I care about protecting everybody, but I'm saying babies can't defend themselves. They can't go provide for themselves. They can't do like all the stuff that adults should be able to do.
It's still like whether or not someone's going to live or die.
Yeah, and I get that, but I'd still want. I think if I had to pick between the two, I'd rather protect babies.
Yeah, but like you're not actually protecting the babies. Infant mortality and maternal mortality have gone up since the overturning of Roe versus Wade.
Has it?
Yes.
Okay, well, I didn't know that, but if I'd rather a president that like doesn't agree with abortion than someone that does.
You mean agree with legal access, or you mean you can disagree with it but think there should be legal access?
I don't think there should be legal access.
Okay. In any situation?
I talked to my dad about this, and what he said made sense, but you're probably going to debunk it. So yes, I think in any circumstance, yes,
Including like death of the pregnant individual?
I would say so. Yes,
So you think
because
someone should
hold
have
on,
to die? What? Okay, so for example,
let
let's
me.
say both the pregnant person and the offspring will die. Do you think they should be forced to go through the pregnancy?
Well, let me ask you a question real quick. Hold on. Hold on,
Can
hold
I
on.
have a
Let me say
response to that
something.
first?
Hold on. I don't know. Just let me ask a question. I get it's kind of. Just let me ask you a question. If somebody, I don't know what I can say on TikTok. If someone grabs a sharp object and pokes you very hard in the chest with it, what do you do? What would you do if someone like you saw that? Would you? Well, doctors would take the knife out and would try to heal the person, which would this would be the same thing with pregnancy. Go through with the pregnancy, with whether it's a C-section or an induced labor. I mean, is it? And are you saying like any circumstance, no matter what you do, a C-section or whatever, you're gonna die?
I'm saying the circumstance is true that if you don't get an abortion, that you will die. Both the fetus and the pregnant individual will die in that scenario. Do you
So
think
no
they should be
matter
able to
what,
get
whether
access to an abortion?
C-section or not, well, if no matter what, like C-section, if like even a C-section won't work or anything like that, well then yes, I think they should be able to. But if a C-section is going to work, then of course I don't
Okay.
think so.
So you think that a pregnant individual should be obligated to give up their life for the baby under
Well, I
your
said
view?
if they, no, I said if the C-section's available, then yeah, they should do that.
Well, that would be an induction of labor after viability.
If
We're
they're
talking
not
about
going to die from a C-section or something, then well then yeah. But if they're going to die, then
But the
no,
fact
like
that but the
absolutely no
fact that
matter
you think
what.
that someone should be forced to go through the context of a pregnancy, even if they're going to die, is crazy. Watch this. Do you think a 10-year-old should be forced to go through a pregnancy? If they were, obviously, we're talking about a 10-year-old.
Yes.
Yeah? You think they should be forced to go through it?
So I originally, I talked,
The
like I said, I
10-year-old
talked
little girl.
about this with my dad. I originally had said no, but what he said made sense. So I guess I would have to say yes.
What did he say that made it make sense that a 10-year-old would be
He's
forced to
better
go
at
through a
speaking than
pregnancy?
I am, but basically said like that you can, like my dad's like MAGA and everything. But he basically said that you can explain later to the kid, but that doesn't mean that like who should you blame? Who should you blame? The rapist? Yes, you shouldn't blame a baby or the child. They're not at fault, but the rapist should be held accountable. Two wrongs don't make a right.
Yeah, but you understand that they have no obligation to maintain a pregnancy, right? They didn't cause the pregnancy. They have no obligation to maintain it.
No, but the baby didn't do anything either.
Okay, but like that doesn't mean anything. They should still be able to get access to an abortion because one, they never caused the pregnancy. Two, because this would be a situation where they're non-sentient. So why the hell would you care more about the non-sentient embryo than you would about the literal sentient child that is you're now saying should be forced to go through a pregnancy at 15 years old?
Is the child gonna die?
Regardless, in the scenario, you think that if they die, they should still have to go through it because you didn't
I don't
think
think if
that.
they're gonna die. No, I like I
Okay,
said.
but
I
wait,
said
if
that.
they're
I
gonna
said
die,
that.
but the baby will survive, would you be okay with forcing them to go through that?
No,
No, you wouldn't.
I
Okay, so
wouldn't.
so now
No,
you're saying that kids should be able to get access to an abortion. There should be legal access to an abortion for kids
in circumstances,
in circumstances
I
like which ones?
is like if they were gonna die, if they had to give birth to the baby.
Okay, so if they're not going to die, would you force a 10-year-old to go through
I
it?
mean, I would have to say yes because I don't think a baby should die. I
Well,
don't think.
I don't think it's a baby in those situations. I think it's a non-sentient embryo. So you're prioritizing the idea of a non-sentient embryo over the life of the literal child that's going to be forced to go through the
At what
pregnancy. And
point?
just because they don't die means that they should be forced to go through is crazy because they could have issues in terms of medical health. They could have issues in terms of psychological health, issues in terms of their literal development as a child, right?
At, yeah. At what point does it become a like have human rights? Would you say?
The point of sentience,
Which is
20 through 24 weeks.
so. What takes away human? Just because it doesn't. So a heartbeat doesn't matter.
No.
Brainwaves don't matter. None of that matters
It's going to be
until.
the prefrontal cortex, thymoscortical cortical connections, and the development of a subjective experience.
Can you give me your definition of sentience, please?
Yeah, it's just going to be like a first-person subjective experience.
So just because it doesn't have sentience, it doesn't have any human rights or any value.
Yeah, I wouldn't
That is,
consider that it has the value of a person.
I would definitely say that it has the same rights as any other person should have. I think
Okay, let's
that
suppose a scenario. Watch. Let's suppose
okay.
a scenario. You're in a burning building. You can either save 1,000 zygotes or one newborn baby. Which would you rather save?
Well, I would say the newborn baby, and then you're
But you don't you
gonna
consider 1,000 zygotes to each be an individual person, so you'd rather save one person over 1,000 people?
no, because it's not actually in a womb. if you say there's a if you
Does
say
that
there's
wait?
a pregnant
But life
mother,
begins at conception, right?
I would say yeah,
Do you value it at conception?
yes.
So then why don't you value those zygotes? You said that they're of equal value. They're people. So if they're of
Yeah,
equal value,
I
it doesn't
mean,
matter whether or not they're in the womb. Are you now saying their location, whether or not they're within the womb or outside of the womb, is going to be relevant to their value?
I guess by my stance, I'd have to say the zygotes then.
Oh, okay.
If
So you
if I was to hold firm to what I'm saying, then
okay?
yeah,
So
I
then
guess.
two zygotes or one newborn baby. Which would you rather say?
Well, I'd have to say if it was two, I would say the newborn baby.
Okay, wait. So
Because
why?
let me
But
explain.
would you rather save two
Because we
people
don't
or
know
one
whether those
person?
zygotes are actually going to
I thought they're
like live,
equivalent to a person.
but we don't know whether they're that like throughout pregnancy that they're actually going to survive.
Okay. So
Whether but the newborn
okay, how
baby
about
we
this?
already know will survive.
Four zygotes or one newborn baby?
Okay, but we're just going all, like up and down
No,
like the
I
list. We're just
genuinely
gonna
want to know
keep
four
going.
zygotes or one newborn baby.
I'd have to think about that. I don't know. I don't know. Okay, yeah, okay, bro.
You don't know. You don't know whether or not you'd save
We've
four
talked
single
before,
cell
okay?
organisms or a newborn baby.
And I know how you work. I listen to you and Dean all the time, and I knew coming up here I wasn't gonna like.
I just know that
I
you
don't
don't
know.
value a zygote the same as you value a baby, and of course you wouldn't. Like if
Yes,
you
I
were to
don't.
reference a
Yes,
zygote with a
okay.
100% likelihood of existing as a baby in the future, would you then say it's just as valuable as an infant right in front?
I guess not, bro. I
No,
guess
you
not,
wouldn't.
bro. No, I guess not, bro. I don't know. I guess not. All right.
Okay, so then why would you say that a pregnant individual should be treated with less value than the individual, the fucking zygote or the embryo?
But I'm just saying, it's a pregnant woman who. Okay, let's talk about what's the percent? It's like isn't it like 95% are like non like grape or anything like that. It's just women using it as birth control, basically,
Do you think
like
women
abortions.
use abortion as birth control? That's in a very
I think
expensive.
a lot of
That's
I
a
think a
very
lot of people do.
expensive and
Yes,
risky form of birth control. Do you think the average American can afford that?
I would say how much is
No.
I looked this
No,
up
you have no clue what you're talking about. No one is using birth control as abortion. That would be crazy. Or I mean, sorry, abortion is birth control. That'd be crazy expensive.
yeah, but accidents happen, and of course, if you're already on like birth
That's not
control
that's
or
not
something, and then
necessarily using it as birth control, because you can use
okay,
contraceptives and it can fail. Most abortions are a result of failed contraceptives. Did you know
okay.
that?
Well, people, I didn't, but people that are choosing to go into an action and then they get pregnant and they're like, oh my goodness, I got pregnant, now I have to like either abort the baby or keep. No, you should not be able to just say, oh, I'm gonna abort a kid, I'm gonna kill a kid because,
Yes, you should.
or
And
unalive a
actually,
kid.
by the way, if my girlfriend was in that scenario and wanted to, I would pay for the abortion. In that circumstance, would you think I should go to prison?
I think that the abortionist should go to prison. I don't think that
Wait, why not
you
the people who
because
pay
I
for
think
it?
because I think
That's
it's
like
been
saying
shoved
someone
down
can,
your throat that it's okay.
under your view, that's like saying someone could hire a hitman to murder someone, and you are only going to put the hitman in prison.
No, because unaliving someone is like everybody know that that's a wrong action. Abortion, ever like it's been shoved down everybody's throat. Like, oh yeah, it's okay or it's bad. Like everybody
Okay, so would you use
has
that as a justification for the Nazis during the Nuremberg trial?
no.
Okay, but they grew up in a society that normalized them engaging in violence towards Jewish people.
Okay, but that's still wrong. It doesn't matter whether it's that's an overall. Anybody should know that that's wrong
Okay, so
because
so you
you
you wouldn't
still.
say that abortion is something that someone should say everyone should view as wrong.
What? Say that one more time.
You don't think abortion is something that everyone should view as wrong?
I think that it's been shoved down everybody's throat so much that they're misled. So I would say that there's a lot of people that try to.
You just swiped out. We can't hear you.
Oh, sorry. I that try to use science that does it, but it doesn't work.
I don't know what you just said. That made no sense.
Oh, sorry. So I said there's some people that like will try to use science to try to like justify abortions, but which I guess some of it kind of makes sense, but not really, because I still think it's wrong.
Okay,
But
and tried to justify their actions as well.
no, there's no justifying because even as a
They tried
child, you know
to.
right from wrong. You know that you shouldn't
Okay,
steal and you shouldn't
okay. Wait. So,
unalive
and
somebody.
don't you think that abortion is wrong?
Yes, I think abortion's wrong.
Okay, so then how would that be viewed any differently under your view? They're both considered murder. They both were normalized into a society in which justified that type of harm. And then you're
Okay,
thinking
well, I
in one
think then
scenario someone should go to prison but not the other one. And to me that tells me that you don't actually view it to be murder. You don't actually view abortion to be that bad. And that's why you respond this way.
I don't. So I have said I've been very on the fence about abortion, like with only with grape cases. That's the only time I think any other case though is I think it's wrong.
I have a question. Are you Christian?
I am indeed Christian, and you're gonna bring up the picture of Donald Trump. I know I hate it. I really don't like that
Well,
picture.
blasphemy is literally unforgivable. Do you agree?
Blasphemy against the Holy Spirit is.
Yeah, and God is the Holy Spirit, right?
I mean, technically yes, but they're also different at the same time. They're three in one and different at the same time.
Okay, so the Holy Spirit is God. Do you agree?
I yes and no.
Jesus is
Like I
God.
said,
Do you agree?
because
What do you mean
anyone that
yes and
says
no?
oh my God, that's saying okay, well that's blasphemy. So then that would be okay. Well, are they going to be unforgiven and not being able to go to heaven? No, that doesn't make any sense.
Why do
So
you consider "Oh my God" to be blasphemy? That doesn't make any sense to me.
because you're using the Lord's name in vain.
Wait, can you define blasphemy?
I would say anything that you're saying negatively against God.
That's not what blasphemy is. So
Okay, can you
blasphemy
describe
and
it,
using the
please?
Lord's name in vain are two different things.
Okay. Can you? Okay, what would be your
Blasphemy,
definition of
like
blasphemy,
for example,
please?
when we're referencing blasphemy,
Or
we're referencing
overall?
like someone representing themselves to be God.
Okay, I'm sorry if I'm mistaken though.
Okay, Trump in this
That's
scenario
fine.
is representing himself as God.
Hmm.
That's blasphemy.
Yeah, and I don't agree with that. And
Okay, so and if that's unforgivable, then
I
why
don't
would
agree
you
with
say
like
that you wouldn't
anything he
support
does.
Democrats because they want to say it should be legal to engage in forgivable sins, but Donald Trump himself is engaged in an unforgivable sin. Why would you
Well,
support someone who's engaged in an unforgivable sin?
murder's pretty bad.
But it's not
I mean,
unforgivable under your view.
yeah, but my human self probably well, I can't justify which is worse, and I guess I can like all sins are equal, but not at the same time. Except
They're
this
not
is the
all equal under
unforgivable
your
sin I
view.
get.
You don't actually
They
think.
are, yes, I do.
Okay, do you think that telling your kids Santa Claus exists is just as bad as murder?
I've heard this before, and I looked this up to try to disprove you here. So it's different. They are all the same in the sight of God because it pushes him. It's all sin, and it pushes us away from God.
So
Okay,
you think telling your
but
kids Santa
in
Claus exists is just
obviously
as bad
no.
as
Can I please finish? No, can I please finish? In the sin aspect, it pushes us away from God. But obviously, that's worse than telling your kid Santa
Okay,
Claus
so they're not all
exists.
equal.
They are in the sight of God. Yes, they are,
Okay, so
but
does God
not in a
think that
morality
does
stance.
God think that okay, so not in a morality sense. So I don't know how
Like
you're
I guess
saying.
for no, I guess in a stance for like us, not in the sight of God, obviously, but of course. Okay, don't stop, bro.
What is this guy saying, bro?
Dude, I'm young, bro. I'm young.
I get
I'm
it,
trying to get
but
my words right. I'm
jeez.
bad at talking.
It's
Sorry.
okay.
I really am, bro. Last time I was on here, the amount of like death threats was insane.
I'm sorry to hear that, man. That's horrible. I
I know.
disagree with that.
I'm just trying to learn, bro. And everybody's like, I mean, I guess learn and like speak my opinion and try to get it. Like, if I'm wrong, I want to know that I'm wrong. But I'd like to defend things that I think like are true. Everybody's like, and everyone's like so mean, dude. Like, run from your dad's crazy. It's crazy. But I'm not gonna get into the comments because that's not what we're here to do. And no, I don't agree with Donald Trump with blasphemy. No, of course I don't agree with that. I don't really agree with him on anything. I like hardly anything I agree with. I mean, I agree. I don't agree with. Um, I don't think. I think mass deportations. I guess I'm okay with that, but I couldn't tell you a negative side to it. But I could say it's illegal. That's the whole point. It's illegal. It's a felony. I mean, I definitely don't think that we should be okay with the illegal people coming into the country.
It's not a felony, it's a misdemeanor. And that's unlawful entry to the country. That's considered a misdemeanor. And you don't care about the felonies your president committed.
Dude, I do. I said I don't agree with him on most
Then
things,
why
but I
did you
don't.
vote for him to ensure that he wasn't held accountable? Because he wasn't put in
Didn't,
prison
but I
because
would.
you
I'm
guys voted
18.
for him.
Okay, I get that. And I wish there was a better Republican candidate. Okay, I do. I really do. I don't like the guy. I don't. But like I said, I couldn't see myself voting Democrat. I mean,
But
it's a lot
why?
of pressure between family as well because I've
So just
always
because you have
grown
a
up in a
family
Republican
pressure to do it
household.
doesn't mean you should.
I mean, I guess no, yeah, that makes sense. But also, it's like, why should I vote Democrat?
Why?
Not, no, hold on. Outside of Trump, why should I vote Democrat? Like, if there was a different Republican candidate, let's not even say JD Vance. Let's move away from MAGA, like cult, like the MAGA cult, whatever you want to call it.
Because they
But let's
prioritize
just talk
working
about
people
Republican,
and the needs of
Democrat.
the population to a greater extent. Because they
And
want to
how's that?
expand access to healthcare, childcare, housing affordability. For example, Kamala Harris advocated to expand the child tax credit to $6,000 for the first year of a child's life, $3,600 through them being 5 years old, $3,000 through them being 18, a $25,000 tax credit for first-time homebuyers for new homes, a $2,000 cap on pharmaceuticals out of pocket, $35 per month cap on insulin. She wanted to expand access to universal health care in this country to ensure everyone's taken care of. She wanted to expand access to education.
I mean, I guess, but universal health care is like, that's not going to happen. That's unrealistic.
It absolutely can happen, and has happened in countries all around the world.
But I feel like we're going to be taxed up the butt like
Other
bad.
countries around the world spend nearly half as much per as we do here in the United States
But
per
what would we take
individual.
away from our defense of our country? What are we going to take away from
Well, no, we could
taxing us on the
with
school
the
system?
current
What?
amount we spend right now, we could take the amount we spend into our private healthcare model. We could take just a literally not even all of it, just a portion of it. We could pay for all of our healthcare needs, ensure
I
everyone's
mean,
taken care of.
I seriously wish that we. I
Well,
mean, I've
Spice,
never,
thank you so much for the
I never,
crispy flying jets. Thank you. Oh, it's
I
true.
never figured out how to like. I would love
Yeah,
universal health
a
care. Of course, I
Medicare
think
for all
that's
type
definitely a
system
good
would
thing.
save around $4.5 trillion over the next 10 years.
Seriously,
Yeah, according to a Lancet study. I'm serious. It
Yeah, and
saves money.
also, we can bring it back also to your point on abortion. If you actually want to lower the amount of abortions being done, you want to provide child care, provide health care, provide education to people so that when they make that decision, they actually have the financial means to make that decision when they need to. So there's a reason why when you give people these resources, they actually are able to choose when to have kids, and you see that that the overall rate of those who have abortions will go down. So
yeah.
if you actually want to actually fix it, you don't ban the abortion. You provide people with the resources they need to actually be able to choose when to
I
have.
mean, I guess that's true, but it's also like there's like accidents and stuff. But I've heard you before too, Matt. You're a pretty smart guy.
No, 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 but no, but no, but actually, on the accident part, people are more likely to keep the kid if they know that they can financially be able to have the kid. Because to your
that is
point,
true.
which you
I
already
understand
made,
that.
you made the point like 20 minutes ago that people have it and they're like, oh, it's an accident and I can't afford it. Well, if you give them the financial means to be able to afford it, then even when it's an accident, they're more likely.
That is true. And I know that even like saying voting for Kamala, that doesn't mean people are gonna have the
Kamala.
choice to. Sorry, is that what you say? How you say it?
Kamala, or you can just say Harris.
Kamala. Okay. Um. So even like voting for Harris, I would say like I guess that people are still gonna have the choice whether to do it or not. And so you don't agree with like leaving it to the states. You think it
Which
should
part?
just
The
be
abortions?
yeah.
Definitely
Just
No,
not.
legal overall.
no. We don't think rights should be delegated to states. I don't believe that a woman in Mississippi should have less rights than a woman in California.
I get that. That makes sense, but I don't necessarily think it's right. I don't know. I think that's I like I said, I don't know that we're gonna agree. I don't like the guy, but
Is there anything Trump could
I
do
don't
that would get you to stop supporting him?
there's a lot of things that Trump could do to get me to stop supporting it. I'm gonna name something and you're just gonna bring it up. If he was a child grave, then you're just gonna bring up like
Just
something
tell me.
about
Just give
or
me
like
any specific thing he could do.
okay. Uh uh I would say grape, but you're gonna bring up Eugene Carroll. All right, all right. So let's say grape or exploitation. We can go on there.
Yeah, he bragged about walking into the
Yeah,
changing rooms of naked women while they're changing without their consent, where two 18-year-olds came out and said there were four girls saying he's 15 years old in these changing rooms. If you know that you're wrong, why do you keep arguing this then?
I don't know. I really don't know. But I don't. You know what's crazy? Right before this, I was debating people on Trump. Like they were saying how Trump's like a great president, and I was debating them on that. And I was like, even though I don't know. Like I said, I don't think people should come into our country illegally. I don't think that's an okay thing. I don't
You
think,
just said
and I get
you
used to.
just were debating people on Trump of who support
Yeah,
Trump,
I indeed was,
so
and
you
I
don't
got
support
absolutely
Trump.
cooked. I wouldn't say I support Trump, but I would vote for Trump.
So you
It's a
would.
little confusing.
Okay, wait. So then why were you debating people that support?
Because I think it's stupid to think the guy's such a great guy, and that it was people that was like, oh yeah, he's so great and stuff like this, and how like he's the best. I was like, no, he's obviously not. It's pretty stupid to say that.
So then why are
And
you on a live defending why you support him right now?
well, I don't support him, but I'd vote for
Then
him.
no,
I said that.
that is what I mean by support.
Oh, okay. Well, because I mean I just want kind of you to get me to change. I want you to change my mind. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, but
Uh,
Wasn't the
anything that I
argument
would bring
though?
up to change your mind, you just like didn't take into consideration. Like I
Well,
literally
wasn't
brought up. Go ahead, Matt.
I'm sorry, Bug. I'm sorry.
No,
I
go
didn't
ahead.
interrupt you. I just want to say, I mean, didn't isn't the argument that I gave that if your main concern is abortion, for example, that being with the party that wants to provide, and that actually the only party that has a comprehensive plan for child care, for education, for health care, for all aspects of a child's life, and to be able to provide those to individuals, that we know that would actually allow people to not, to not then have to choose to have an abortion. Wouldn't that be your ultimate outcome rather than just banning it? Because we know that banning it doesn't actually reduce it. Because uh,
yes.
since that ruling, we've only seen these things go up, and so it doesn't actually prevent people, one, from having sex, and two, from actually getting the abortions. So why
Well,
not try to actually just give them the things that they need to be able to have the kid?
do you think it should be banned after sentience? What do you say, 24 to
There's
25
limitations
weeks?
on it. There's limitations, but not absolute bans. No.
Yeah, so when it comes to like abortion access, like we would say that there are essentially going to be no circumstances where it'd be prevented, and situations where people are just trying to do lethal after the point in which it's sentient. So there'd be no reason for like any type of like genuine law that restricts people from getting access to it, because it would just restrict people from getting access to it in the exceptions rather than like in actual
Yeah.
circumstances in which there was like a legitimate elective lethal termination after sentence.
Well, well, I know.
If we could have effectively set up a system that would for ensure all of those exceptions, then we would support like a law like that. But we don't think a law like that could be constructed, or we essentially don't think that
Well,
we'd be able to get the exceptions to such a sufficient degree where we'd be able to even
yeah,
establish a good law in the first place.
yeah. I watched you guys, literally you and Dean, every single night, almost you guys' whole stream, and it's mainly Dean because he's on while I'm working. But I know that he believes all 9 months should be legal, but I think it's like, and I get he was like, oh, that never happens, but like, and I get like, but I also think the cases where it might actually does happen, where it's not like mother's life in danger or anything. I think that's pretty crappy,
Yeah,
and I
after
get like,
viability, it's just going to be an induction of labor. So it's just like it doesn't happen. Lethal elective abortions are not happening. And the likelihood that it would happen is so low that it doesn't even make sense to enforce a law or
But
to
I
put a
wouldn't
law
make
in
want
place
to take a
specifically
chance
doing
even.
so, because it would just restrict people in circumstances where they meet the exception criteria, but yet our exception criteria was not good enough to apply. So you have to
Yeah,
understand that laws have more risks than benefits in this scenario.
I wouldn't even want to take a chance on it though. Like I feel like it's such a terrible thing. Like I wouldn't want to even like gamble, you
Yeah,
know?
but also the
Like
risks of the law are such a terrible thing that you wouldn't want to gamble on
yeah,
that either. You have to consider
I get
risk
that.
benefit analysis for the implementation of laws.
Yeah. I understand that. I I really appreciate you guys like helping educate me. I mean, I wish people weren't like so like make politics their identity. I mean, but you guys have seemed pretty respectful to me. I mean, I've been respectful to you, and you know that a lot of people are just like jerks. You say anything. I mean, especially like there's a lot of people on the right and left. I mean, there's you say anything. I mean, I'm just trying to get more educated. You know,
Okay.
like
So it seems
I
like
really
you're kind of at
appreciate
a
you
point where you
guys.
don't support Trump anymore, right?
I don't really know what I like support at this point. I guess I just know that I'm a Christian. It's the only thing I do support.
Okay. And you
By
could be
the
a
way,
Christian that doesn't support Trump.
yeah, and by the way, I would actually argue that the Democratic Party envisions the actual things that Jesus talked about and actually preached about more so than the Republican Party. Because you cannot point to, for example, Jesus talking about abortion or him talking about gay people, for example, him talking about any
Yeah,
things, any things that the right makes issues. But what he did talk about was, and he made emphatically clear that to care for the poor, to care for the sick, to care for
yeah,
those that are needy, that's the rule. And if you care about the actual things that Jesus said will get you into heaven, like I mean, he was like very
no,
explicit
yeah.
that this will get into heaven. Then I would say that you need to support the Democrats because they're the ones who are going to effectuate your values into action.
Yeah, I feel like there's a lot of like the like corruptness in both parties. Like I feel like every pretty much high politician has something
You
somewhere
have to
along the
evaluate the
lines.
level of corruption. If you don't evaluate
Uh,
the level of corruption from your own
but
view
yeah,
to try to see who's a preferable
yeah.
to argue for or who is doing less harm to your country, then
I
you're inevitably not doing the due diligence from your own perspective, identifying, again, the risk benefit analysis of either administration.
yeah, I have a question for you.
Hmm.
Why didn't Kamala Harris and Joe Biden
Kamala.
release the sorry, Harris or
The
Biden
Epstein files?
um release yeah.
So, one, there was a law that restricted and prevented the release of the files from a court perspective. Two, there needed to be a congressional bill to pass it. Three, that bill wasn't set up and passed until 2025. And then four, there's a separation between the DOJ and between the Biden administration under their administration. Trump has eroded that.
Yeah, well, but do you don't think there's like any corruption between like the left at all, like with like Kamala or sorry, Harris?
I don't think there's any evidence for any corruption demonstrating on Joe Biden or Kamala Harris for this specific point in terms of the Epstein files,
Yes.
but it could be something that demonstrates something about like the Mayor Garland or like the DOJ.
Yeah,
But there's just not sufficient proof on that. There needs to be like an investigation.
yeah. And do you think like all people on the right are like wrong? Wrong, I guess. Like because not people like
I think it's
that are
wrong to
not
support
MAGA,
Trump. Yeah, and I
not
disagree with your
MAGA, not MAGA,
perspective.
not MAGA. Just like a normal person, like on the right, like you know what I mean?
Like, do I disagree with their position? Yes.
Yeah. What do you disagree on, like for
Like I would
Republican
say that
stances?
people, I think they're wrong on that people should have more access to healthcare and childcare, housing affordability. I believe in a universal
Yeah.
healthcare system. So we're just going to disagree in those respects. And when I'm saying that they're wrong, it really just means that we disagree on those views.
I am. Well, now it's kind of hard because I feel like that's all kind of makes sense. All that makes sense, and I would like that as well. But I don't know that I would go far to call myself a Democrat, though. I wouldn't.
You don't have to call
Um,
yourself a Democrat. You just have to acknowledge that Democrats have preferable economic, social policy, foreign policy comparative to the Republicans, not only just
yes.
here in this election, but like in typical.
Yeah. Well, I started to like talk about how like I didn't agree with Trump with one of my brothers. I have four brothers, and my brother like he got all mad at me, and I don't want any discourse between my family just because of politics. You know, like I
Well,
don't
you
know
can
that
have
politics.
conversations and disagree. You don't have to fully agree. If they're forcing you to fully agree, that's something toxic on their
I
end.
guess, but he just I don't know. He's very right leaning, so
Well,
he
have them
just
debate me.
I I really should. I brought up Dean, and he knows him, and he was like I'd honestly like either my dad or my brother debate you or Dean. I wouldn't care. That'd be pretty funny to see.
I'm
I
not
mean, he's a really
trolling.
smart guy.
If you want to set
Like
up a day where I debate them, I'll follow you right now and I'll set up a day with you if you want me to do.
I can try to get see if he will do it. I'm not kidding. I would do that. I would. He is very he's very intelligent. I will say that he's a very intelligent guy. He's a nice guy, but sometimes he gets a little interruptive. I guess I could say.
Okay, well
But
we can set up a time. I sent you a follow on my main account. Just message me
okay,
back. I'll set up a time. I'll debate your family members.
okay. I gotta ask him if he will actually do that.
All right, for sure. That's totally fair.
uh,
Just let me know.
I definitely. I really appreciate you guys,
All right,
though. I
appreciate you coming up.
appreciate you
I
guys
got one question.
helping.
I got
Yeah.
one
ahead.
question. Who are you voting for in the midterms?
Oh, jeez. Oh, jeez. You can't.
What state are you in?
Oh, I'm in New Hampshire.
Oh, okay. Well, I mean, still, you should vote for the Democrat. I'm just saying, you should do
I
it.
don't even
I
know
think.
who are Republican or Democrat. I think
Well, I don't know either. I'd have to look, but I still think you should vote the Democrat. I mean, you. I think we made some pretty good arguments about why your values align more with the party. I'm just saying it's important to vote in the midterms. Go vote, even if you don't vote for a Democrat, but you should vote.
midterms is what, November something.
Yeah, first Tuesday in November.
Oh, okay. That's.
Some of your
I'm gonna
primaries
do a
can
lot
be
of
right now,
thinking.
just letting you know as well.
Say what?
Some primaries are happening right now, like the governor
Oh.
primary race right now is happening
Oh, okay.
for here
Yeah,
Um,
us here in
New
I'm
California.
not gonna lie.
Hampshire,
If someone
I can
else
look for
like
you.
skews my view again, and I come back, and I'd say something, I'll be back probably eventually
Well,
one day.
you're voting
Oh,
for Senate, House, Governor.
I don't
I
know.
mean, you're running for all that.
I
So,
don't. Okay. So I don't even know. I would have to look at the Democrat, whoever's our
All
governor
right,
and
well,
stuff,
we'll make sure to do
policies and
that,
stuff.
and we'll keep updated. All right, appreciate you coming up.
Okay.